So I wanted to thank you all for coming. I'm Sharon Frances. I am the director of Wellbeing Studio, and this is our very first We Break Stigma's digital tour stop in California. And I'm so excited to introduce you to a fantastic group of panelists. We have Diana Wallace, and she'll be doing some drumming with you. We have Shelley Mendeville, who is an author, and she's also the child of Chantel Mendeville, who is a breast cancer survivor and parent, an advocate, and she will be on they'll both be on our panel. And then we also have Kati Garrido with Walk with Sally, and we have Rachel Koonse from Cancer Support Community in Pasadena, and we also have Annie Rigger from Cali Kids Medical Foundation in San Diego. So we have a fantastic group to talk, and we're starting out, kicking off our We Break Stigmas tour, focusing on building relationships during cancer, using the arts for emotional well-being, open communication. How do we talk about cancer with our kids? How do we support our emotions through this process? And before we get started with the fantastic program we have today, I wanted to start out with a land acknowledgement. As a nonprofit organization, Wellbeing Studio acknowledges the Tongva peoples as the traditional land caretakers of the Tombangar, the Los Angeles region, for at least 10,000 years. Wellbeing Studio acknowledges our presence on a traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Tonga peoples. We acknowledge the Tonga peoples as the traditional land caretakers of the Tavangar, the Los Angeles region, and we pay our respects to the ancestors, elders, and our relatives and relations past, present, and emerging. We at Wellbeing Studio want to break stigmas around physical and emotional and medical trauma, chronic illnesses, and disabilities. We want to develop coping skills and empower creativity and build community. And that's what we're doing today with our webinar. And so what we're going to do is start out with a drum circle. So I'm going to pass it over to Diana. She is a fantastic rhythm artist and educator, and she is going to in some communing together through rhythm.
Awesome. Hi, thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here, Sharon. You're so generous, and I just love having opportunities like this to share rhythm. The rhythm I would like to teach you today, it's called Nyabingi. It's an ancient rhythm from the Rastafari faith. It's interesting because I started out in reggae, and I've known this rhythm for a long time, but I never gave it more of a therapeutic sort of application. And I have to thank Rufus Glasgow, who taught me this rhythm yesterday. So as we go, we have options. So I'm going to be starting with the main bass hit and the side on the drum. So it's going to sound like this. But I want to give you options. Like, say maybe your hands are sore. Instead of tapping the edge of the drum, you can make the sound with your hands rubbing together. Mine are nice and dry from all of the hand sanitizer, so it makes a good sound like sandpaper. You can also tap your body or tap your legs for the same sound if it's uncomfortable. And if you don't have a drum, you can just do it on the table or just do it all on your body. Yeah?
Sure.
Okay, so here we go. And to make it really easy, we have a beautiful phrase. I like peanut butter, I like jam, and I really do. I love them both. So I'll start off slow. I like peanut butter, I like jam. 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 So a variation, I like peanut butter, I like jam. 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 It's very meditative. You kind of just relax into it and add your variations. as you go, you can add more. Just keeping the heartbeat as an anchor. Beautiful. Yes. Beautiful. So shall we go a little bit faster? Just a little bit. Here we go. 1, 2, here we go. Yes. Good. Nice. Good. Body time.
Oh, Diana.
Give me a little rumble. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for drumming with me. That's beautiful.
And we'll close with another circle at the end. We are going to, thank you. We are going to now introduce Shelley, if you're ready. I wanted to show you, Shelley made this beautiful book, Mommy's Cancer Journey, about her experience going through breast cancer with Chantel, her mom. And we are so fortunate to be able to share this story with you today. Shelley has been so generous to share her experience. Her story is on our app, our My Story Quilt app, which is free for download. And it has been created with our tech partners, OneGen, who are here today. And so we are so thankful that Shelley gets to read it in person to you all. And I'm hoping that it can be something that you can share with other who need to see that there are lots of kids who are going through parents, as my 11-year-old daughter did with me. That is so powerful to share each other's and to connect through something, you know, that's common, but is not something that's heard a lot. So Shelley, thank you so much. We are going to take it away.
Hi, I'm Shelley, and I'm going to read Mommy's Cancer Journey, written and illustrated by Shelley and Mendeville, which is me. This book is dedicated to my mommy Chantel, whom I will always love. Diagnosis. Last year at the end of June, my mommy got told that she had breast cancer. I felt really sad when the doctors told my mommy about the diagnosis. My daddy was also sad about the diagnosis too. He did not want to take the bus home that day. It was a very sad day. My mommy said, "I don't want to die." Surgeries. At the end of August, my mommy had her first surgery. At the end of September, my mommy had her second surgery. I missed her while she was at surgery. Chemos. After my mommy had her surgery, she had chemo. Every Wednesday or Thursday, my mommy went to the hospital for them to put chemo inside her veins. She didn't like it. Mommy's hair. During my mommy's chemos, my mommy lost her hair. She put on hats, scarves, and wraps on her head. Now she is regaining her hair. It is short as my daddy's. Radiation. After chemo, my mommy went to daily radiation for 6 weeks, a total of 30 days. She had to leave and drive far, and she left me with my grandma and sometimes my daddy. I felt sad every day she left. Recovery. My mommy has been through a lot, from diagnosis to surgery to chemo to daily radiation. Today, she is still waiting for the results of her latest mammos. We are trying to get back to normal and enjoy life. We hope for good results always. People affected. My mommy. Where's the picture? Shelly, me. My daddy. My grandma. Baby Dolly. Pinkalicious and purplicious. About the author and illustrator. Shelley Mandeville loves art and making up stories. Her mother's cancer diagnosis inspired her to write this story. She is a Girl Scout and loves soccer. She hopes to one day write and draw books for children. About my mommy. Chantal Mandeville was an elementary school teacher before staying home to teach her own daughter. She loves dolls and playing imagination. She enjoys volunteering to her daughter's Girl Scout events and soccer team. And then there's a picture of the back. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Shelley. That is just beautiful. I love how you took us all the way through the treatment, the emotions that you and your family went through. And that people affected page is huge because it's really important that educators and nurse navigators and our doctors and our social workers know, yes, that there are so many people affected by the cancer diagnosis and the treatment. And so we're working to through healing as a whole family, and whatever that means, whether parents live together or apart, whether a grandparent is nearby or far away, that we're all in it together, and we're working on it through the arts, through this beautiful story. Yeah, high fives, high fives, high fives. Thank you so much. So we're gonna, going right off of that. We're going to work as a panel now to share our experience in working in cancer, whether as a parent, which will be Chantel, or folks in the cancer care profession, which is Rachel and Annie and Katie. And then we also have our arts educator, Diana, who just did a drum circle with cancer survivors very recently. So we have lots of experience we can share with you and some specific strategies, hopefully, that people can walk away, whether you're a volunteer or an educator, whether you're a nurse navigator or a parent. that there's something you can take away and, do that drumming, write a story together, hear the other strategies that folks are going to share with you today. So I'm going to work on pinning everybody. I think I can add multiple pins, or add multiple spotlights. So I'm going to do my best here to do that. And what I thought we could start with is if you all could do a real brief introduction and tell us your superpower in your life. What is your superpower, and how you work in the cancer field or with folks who are experiencing cancer. So we can just go ahead and start. Rachel, let's start with you.
Sure. Well, thank you first off for having me. And Shelly, thank you so much for sharing your story. That was so inspiring and I loved hearing it, and the art was beautiful. And it's just a privilege to be here. But my name is Rachel. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I work at Cancer Support Community Pasadena. And I think if I had a superpower, it would be being in two places at once, because it's kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time. I'm known to multitask. So while I'm brushing my teeth, I'm cooking dinner. And while I'm writing an email, I'm also on the phone. So if I could make that a real superpower so that I could do both tasks really well, that would be great. But I also know that sometimes I just need to focus my energies on one thing at a time.
Oh, Katie, can you hear me?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Hi guys,
No
this is Kati with Walk with Sally. I think my superpower, if I could pick something, it will be flying. Mm-hmm. I would like to also go places and visit and my family and just meet more people. If I had to say what superpower I have right now, I think I'm a really good listener. So I consider that my superpower.
Thank you so much. Annie.
Hi, I'm Annie, and I have a nonprofit, Cali Kids Medical Foundation. We provide assistance and support to families that have a hospitalized child in San Diego. And if I had a superpower, I always say I would want the power to heal, because there's a lot of kids that I work with that need some healing, and adults. So, yeah.
Thank you. And hi, who's your friend? Who's with you, Miss Annie?
And this is Layla.
Hi.
This is she's my big Cali Kids helper all the time, so.
Hi.
And Chantel, how about you? Can you tell us who you are and what's your superpower?
Chantel, me? I'm a mom. I'm Shelly's mom, and that's basically become my new identity. And I think what I do is I'm a mom. I was a homeschooling mom before the pandemic, and I say the fact that I'm still homeschooling says a lot because it's made it harder, so it's more challenging because there's just places to go and get away and decompress, so to say. So the fact that we're still homeschooling and being in there has been a testament to our homeschooling. And so I've always loved teaching. I've always loved working with children in different capacities. As my daughter mentioned in the book, I also have helped coach and I've helped work with the Girl Scouts. So I'd say just kind of connecting with kids, but in a it's been hard because when you're with kids, you got to be the adult. But that's really not how I like to be. So it's kind of hard because I'm usually trying to figure out how to be myself with them, which is more with Shelly. I've been able to do that playfulness, the puppets, the games, the toys. But as a school teacher, you can't always do that because it's not always allowed, or you have to find creative ways to do that. So I think my superpower has been figuring out how to keep that child in me, that imagination going, even as I've had to grow up. And so I've always found ways to bring it in. So that's why I loved being an elementary school teacher, because that's like one of the safest places where you can still bring puppets in and imagination. And even when you read a fairy tale, if you do it with voices, it's okay. But see, other places you can't read like that anymore. So I've always loved the magic of storytelling and those teachers who brought those stories to life, those teachers who sang, who played music in the classroom. They just kind of let it all out, the inhibitions, but in a safe way, of course. And so to me, that's kind of been my biggest superpower, because it's really easy to lose that child. And it's a challenge because I still have to be mom, you gotta brush your teeth, you gotta get up, you gotta get dressed, you gotta change, you gotta come to the table, gotta get in the car, out of the car, you still gotta like lay down the law. But at the same time, it's like, it's really a balance because she sees who I really am. So like switching those roles is really tough. So the fact that I've been able to become an adult, whatever that means, and still have that inner child come out and not kill that inner child, to me, that's been a superpower. It's not just being a teacher, but hopefully being a fun teacher, hopefully being a creative teacher, hopefully being the teacher that the kids remember and like. Remember that teacher? Kindergarten, first grade, music teacher, art teacher. That's the teacher, even sometimes the math teacher, because they were in their own world. You know what I mean? They didn't come out, and it was okay because that was where they loved to be. So I think teaching, but teaching that way, that creative way.
And that's the focus of this webinar series is about breaking stigmas. So one of those stigmas is about that it's okay for adults to be silly. It doesn't mean that anything negative about us as adults. And when we find that inner child, we're able to understand our kids better too and see things from perspective. We're breaking stigmas about talking about difficult topics and being able to express ourselves in ways that as adults we're expected to contain, ourselves. And then with Diana, we start reaching into our space and creating rhythms that like I was fumbling through and feeling uncomfortable and not making the rhythm sound like Diana, but by pushing through that discomfort and really allowing myself to feel my body, that gets me more in touch with myself. As we're going through difficult times, we can start to really heal through that ambiguity and through that discomfort. Diana, I wanted to ask you your superpower before we get into some of the topics. There we go.
I think my superpower, first is my smile because it cuts my face in half, but I think it puts people at ease. And when I'm holding space for people to experience rhythm and maybe fumble around and feel like they can't do it, I'm able to just kind of be like a fly on the wall and just support them. And I just really love that I can just be a support in people finding their innate rhythms. It's beautiful.
Well, that's, so let's think about that idea of how we hold space through this experience of going through cancer. The first kind of question for all of you, I'd like you to just weigh in as you want, so it's somewhat of a dialogue, is, what are some of the stigmas and other challenges that people experience during cancer that, the arts and other creative ways of being together can help with? Some of those stigmas and challenges going through cancer.
Am I the only panelist who's gone through cancer, or have?
And me. I don't know about the others, but
okay, well,
me and you.
Yeah, there you go. I guess I can speak to it because it's so recent. I guess the biggest one is that like I'm not strong. And so when people would and I know it's from a wonderful place, it's a loving place, I get it, but it's like, how you doing? How's it going? But even just the way it was said, it's like a victim, like I'm a victim. The whole fact that you're, even the way we talk about the illness, it's like you're suffering from it, or you're, and I like the whole survivor. I like the whole power. So we did kind of like, we have Ray in the back. So we're all about girls' superpower. So for me, the whole thing with cancer was I'm going to get through this, because when I first got diagnosed, you know, the nurse was, do you want to hear it on the phone? Do you want to know the diagnosis, or do you want to come in person? And Shelly was in the back seat of the car. And I said, just tell me. Let's get it over with. I want to know.
And it was great grandma's birthday.
And so I was told. And my first question was, am I going to die? Like she said in the book, she caught it, like she got it right on the nail, exactly what my first reaction was. And I loved the nurse's reaction or response. She was, not if you don't want to. And that kind of did it for me, because it's like, it's in my hands. I mean, it is and it isn't, but I didn't ever want to be seen as a victim. Like, cancer's just happening to me. I wanted to be, I'm dealing with cancer. I'm getting through cancer. I'm surviving cancer. I'm rising from cancer. I'm going to beat this. I'm going to go all whatever rounds, you know, of treatment. And, you know, we're going to get through this together. So I guess for me, when it was presented to me as like something that's going to bring me down, and I'm just another victim or another, I don't know what the word was. I couldn't, that stigma, I wouldn't allow it to stick to me. And I would still hear it, you know, I would still feel it. And so I'm just like, and I wasn't lying about how I felt, because there were days that it was really hard to just get up and move, and there still are. But I was like, this is not going to whip me. This is not going to get me down. But I am different. I am changed. I'm not able to do the same things. And so I think for me, the hardest thing is to be seen like a victim when that's not the way I wanted to deal with it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How about you all, when you're in your organization, Rachel, Katie, and Annie, what are some of the stigmas that you deal with that you know you need to break silences about, for example, when you're working with families?
So I can share, you know, at Cancer Support Community Pasadena, we're really working in the psychosocial realm. So taking care of people's emotional experiences as they navigate the cancer journey. And something that I see a lot of is, and this is a larger issue in mental health care as well, but just a stigma around seeking support, that in some way seeking support is admitting that you're weak or crazy, when in fact that couldn't be further from the truth, right? I think it truly takes a village to get, you know, to navigate a hardship like cancer. And I think quite the opposite, it's actually courageous when people can say, this is difficult and I need a community, I need support. And I think it shows strength and integrity when you're able to say that. So I think it is a bigger stigma in mental health, and one that I see often at Cancer Support Community, where people feel ashamed to seek support, as though, again, it's an admission of weakness of some form. And then another thing that I see quite often is people with cancer and a larger stigma, where people feel that they did something wrong to get a cancer diagnosis. And again, that couldn't be further from the truth, right? There are certain choices we can make to maximize our health, certainly, but cancer occurs for often random reasons, and you did nothing to get the disease. So I think that's another stigma I see often at CSCP.
I think also something that it's related to what Chantel was saying is, when we hear the word cancer, that brings all of this negative thoughts and feelings. And I think what we're trying to do, all of us here, is to break that thought, break that stigma, and actually flip that coin and try to make something positive through support, through friendships and community. And that's something that is really not the first thought that comes when somebody says the word cancer. Everything has to be negative, everything is depressive and sadness. And we are trying so hard to have fun while we are going through that journey together. And it might sound like, oh my gosh, how can you say that? But we really need to have fun and show the kids, especially the kids, that no matter how hard the situation is at home, we are there for them, and we can create something positive from something very traumatic.
Right. I want to piggyback. It's like life ended, like, because you got a cancer diagnosis, you're like, your life ended, like forever.
Right.
You, like you said, you have to now enter a depressive state. And
It's not
I
right.
refuse to do that.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I totally hear what you say. And I totally hear the other part about seeking the help. But I have to be honest with you, when I went to treatment groups, they were depressive. So it may not, that setting may not work for everybody for help, but what did work was group for her group, because it was fun and it gave me a break. So I like that there's a diversity of supports, because
one of the things that I had to do was, that I wanted to do was tell my daughter, give her permission to have fun. That you have permission, just because mommy is laying on the couch and sometimes you don't have to feel sad all the time. It's okay. I was worried she would feel guilty for laughing, for not, as if maybe it wasn't taking it seriously. But instead what I did was, like Jessica mentioned in the chat, throwing herself a party, like it's a life party, right? So I had this wig that before I did my hair pink during chemo, I had a red wig. I just wore it at home for fun. And we we did the shaving my head party, and I put on my red wig and we rollerbladed around the house and we're like getting ready for chemo rollerblade. And it was like, I wanted to know that if I could have fun, so could she, right? That she had permission to keep living and to live and thrive every day, even though we're acknowledging at the same time, sometimes we don't feel good. So my sister-in-law, I was telling her, I'm so confused. One moment I'm happy, and another moment I'm sad, another moment I'm guilty, another one I'm feelings. And she said, well, it's okay. There's room for all of it. Right. I was like, wow. Now that I want to hold that, because that's what life is. That's living. And I'm still going, like I'm in this. So yeah, like Chantel, what you're saying about, just every day. And as we break the stigmas, we're helping other people understand that they don't know, maybe they've never talked about it. And so trying to understand what's happening when they've never had to talk about fear of dying can be terrifying, or maybe they have their own challenging experience with that. Annie, you're nodding. Take it away.
Well, I don't know. It's just hard on the siblings, the parents. So on my end, I'm working with families where the child has cancer. And so it's the siblings and the parents who, and I just see it so much where they're afraid to have fun, don't really want to have fun, or you feel like they need to be strong. So that is the biggest thing I see with our families, is they have to be strong. And they refuse to let themselves feel what is really happening. And then it's kind of fed with all this, oh, you're so strong. I don't know how you do it. You're so strong. And so they really feel like they're not even given that chance to feel what's happening, or that it's a weakness to not be strong. And so I try to remind the parents and then also the siblings, like, it's okay to feel our feelings. It's okay to be sad, but it's also okay to be happy. Even if your child's in the hospital or your sibling's in the hospital, it's okay to go and do the fun stuff that you need to do. So
I think it's also redefining what strong means. It's just, why is it weak to cry? Why is it weak to show emotion? Why is it weak to feel what you're feeling? I think that there's so much strength in being vulnerable and sharing your feelings and not hiding behind a facade of everything's okay. I just think it's so sad that these kids think that if they show their emotions, they're weak.
Yeah. And so we are working together as this village. Like someone said, it takes a village. We're working together as this village who's jumped in, out of choice or not, into this experience of going through medical trauma, going through chronic illness. And parents are desperately seeking strategies to be able to say it's okay to have all these feelings. And maybe I've never talked about those things before. When I first encountered cancer personally, I was 7. My dad had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and we didn't talk about it. He went to work, he came home, he retched in the bathroom after chemo, he went to work, he did that, and there was no discussion about it. And whatever I was feeling, I kept to myself. And so I didn't have a model for how to do that. Thankfully, I love emotions and I think they're fantastic. And so I felt pretty equipped, but I didn't grow up with that. And I think a lot of people as parents are struggling with that. So I wanted to talk about some of the strategies that you use in your organizations, in your parenting, as an artist, arts-based creative strategies that you've been using to do some of that redefining, Jennifer, that you talked about, and Jessica, that you talked about. What are some things that parents can do? Or mentors. Walk with Sally focuses on mentoring. And so thinking about that as part of the village, I would love to, explore some of that and the creative or arts-based ways that you're exploring those.
So I think for at least what we try to focus in Walk with Sally is to not only help the mentee, but also offer some kind of support to the parent. And the mentor becomes that best friend and that outlet for our kids to express what they are feeling when the sibling is sick, when the mom is sick, when the dad is sick. And that mentor, the commonality of cancer between the mentor and mentee, because what we do briefly is we pair up this adults that have been impacted by cancer with kids that are experiencing the journey of cancer through a loved one that is sick. So having that in common, it really opens up the level of comfort of the kid and starts talking to the mentor because they know that there's something in common. A lot of times they go to school and the friends, they don't know what cancer is. They don't know what it is to lose a parent. And the kids start feeling like an outsider. And those feelings start isolating them and feeling indifferent. They lack interest in school. So I think our main strategy obviously is our mentor program, and then creating fun activities where the kids don't come to therapy, but they come to hang out with a friend and they feel comfortable enough to talk about their feelings. And sometimes that might not happen, but we have found that through fun workshops, through crafts, through a slime workshop that we did with Rachel, the kids start opening up and they just start talking about their emotions without even thinking about it. They're not thinking, oh, I'm gonna tell them how I really feel. They're just doing something else and they're expressing their feelings through art. So that's how basically Walk with Sally has tried to come up with that strategy and give it to our families so that they communicate between themselves.
So I can talk a little bit about what we do at CSCP, and that, we have a number of support groups, including a support group for youth who have a loved one with cancer, and those are facilitated by licensed therapists. And so a lot of what we do in the groups, as well as outside of the groups, is provide a little bit of coaching to parents who maybe don't know how is best to communicate information to their children. And I think something that I always stress with parents that I work with is modeling open and honest communication, because I think often parents have the best of intentions, but they want to withhold information from their children because they think it's protecting them, when in fact it's actually so much better to be honest in an age-appropriate manner. And I think we saw that in Shelley's story, right? That Shelley was informed and she knew what was happening, and that made her feel more calm and prepared and equipped to roll with it. And I think parents also have a lot of ability to model how to navigate difficult things, because like, as we're talking about in this group, the cancer experience encompasses a range of emotions: happy, sad, angry, and in between, right? And I think parents can model that all of those emotional experiences are okay. And we can navigate through these emotional experiences together. So a broken record, but I always say model open and honest communication with children. And similar to Kati, we do a lot of art-based engagement with our youth, because youth, especially younger kids, either if they're pre-verbal or young kids, maybe just don't have the vocabulary to express their emotional experience. So art-based interventions are kind of an expressive tool when you don't have the words to say what you're feeling. And I think that's even true for adults, because we don't always have the right words. So art can be a great medium for that, even if it's just scribbling on a paper and choosing a color to identify what your emotional experience is.
I'd like to piggyback on that, because for Shelley, that's what it was. It was all art. And I don't know if you have your little art book, but we got a American Cancer, like a book about, everything was from cancer support community in Redondo Beach. They had a lending library for children. I'm sure you have one in Pasadena. I didn't have the vocabulary to communicate to Shelley what I was going through, because it was so overwhelming to me. So I leaned on those books. And I'm an ex-school teacher, so I love books. And the words in those books allowed me, that was the safe way to present. Oh, let's find a book about radiation. This is what mommy's about to go through. Let's find a book about, oh, mommy lost her hair. That's what mommy's going to go through. Oh, let's find a book about chemo. And so that's kind of how we approached it, because I didn't have the language. So the books, and they were free, we would borrow them, we would read them. And that pretty much, Shelley and I would just sit there in bed with my, I was just so out of it and so overwhelmed by the information. And that was our connection time with the two stars. The role they played is when I would go to treatment or any kind of appointment, they would say goodbye. They would touch points, and then they would report to each other. So Pinkalicious would go with me to the appointments and to the treatments, and Purplicious would stay with Shelley. And then when we got back together, they touched points again, and they would cry. And there was this whole emotional thing about them leaving each other. And then that's us. And then when they touched, they were so happy to be together. And then Pinkalicious said, you won't believe what we went through. You won't believe, and all the gory details.
This guy didn't find mommy's veins.
All the gory details of whatever happened that day, or the emotions. And it was a safe way to kind of unpack that. But the books that we got helped. And I think all that, and while Shelley wasn't with me, while she was with her grandma or at home with her dad, she was drawing and sketching. I didn't know this. So she would tell me, this is what I did while you were away. So that was our check-in
time.
time.
A whole scrapbook.
And that's where the book started. The book started from all those drawings.
Oh yeah, I had it.
And we just put pages together, and she would write what she was feeling and what she wanted to say. And then she said one day, I want to make a book. Just like the books we read from cancer support, I want to make my own book. Because we always talked about how they would help others and how they gave mommy the words that mommy didn't have. Because I would literally break down crying. I couldn't even articulate what I was going to go through, because I didn't know myself. I was kind of scared. And the scariest part for me was radiation. It's that and surgery, because I never had a surgery ever. So I was so scared. So that was how the arts helped us. And that's how I found the words because, and they were child appropriate because they were children's books. So, you know, that is, and I just didn't know if I was doing a good job or not, but we were going through it and we would hug and kiss. It was a lot of emotion, but it felt connective. What made me feel good about it is we were, yes, your book too. And we went to all those workshops.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
where we
where?
met you at Cancer Support at the workshop, your little green monster. And we just, that's how it happened. It all just came and then, yeah, Shelly just wanted to write and draw. That's all she wanted to do was write and draw.
So I was connecting with you so much, Chantel, because during my cancer treatment in 2018, that's when I started this whole concept for an organization, and I wrote this book to help my daughter, and I too used an animal, so I created a monster and then I have my puppet. So I would bring my little green monster with me to chemo, and we would take pictures because kids aren't allowed to go into the treatment areas. So unless you child who's going through cancer, the siblings can't go in, so you really don't know what it looks like. It's very scary. So we took pictures with the little green monster getting, did you get your wrist ID? Oh yes, I had my wrist on this one, and then I had my wristband here on my left and my IV on my right. It was very scary, but the nurse talked about it the whole time and told me what was going to happen, and it helped so much. And so we did it together, and we went and did a video tour of the infusion center to show Jillian, right? Yeah, it was really fun. And you know, it was the best, the jelly bean dispenser. That was the best. So I did, you know, Chantel, you and I are like twin spirits because
I think so.
Yeah, we really are twin spirits. I really like it.
this is what helped. And so then we started making, we have volunteers. We have over 250 volunteers at Wellbeing Studio, and we make these little green monsters. Shelly has one, and they go to kids who are impacted by cancer themselves, our siblings of family members, our children of family members impacted by cancer, our friends of people impacted by cancer that they love. And we do little green monster workshops we're doing with cancer support community, but that is how it grew into this beautiful Wellbeing Studio experience that I get to have and share my life with all of you doing. And I think because of all the efforts that you're making with mentors, with support groups, with coaching parents, Diana through your drumming, Annie through your working with siblings and supporting the whole family through kids diagnosis, and I know your own family experience with that informs those practices. We are so fortunate to have this arts-based just repertoire of, and creative and connective repertoire of tools that people can use. I wanted to ask if you all could give us a closing thought of, you know, one takeaway that you hope parents or mentors or cancer support professionals, you would like them to take away with, of like one strategy or one thing they could do today to support kids through this process of talking about emotions and going through cancer. And then we're going to close with Diana's drum circle.
I think that making sure that the kids know that having fun is okay. It's not something to feel guilty about. And there are so many organizations out there that have workshops, have events and activities that we all put together to make that happen, and to just bring an hour or two of relief and laugh and joy. And that is so important, not only for the kids, but also for the parents to see their kids having a moment of relief. So I think to make sure that the kids know it's okay to have fun. There's nothing to feel guilty about that.
I have two things I want to say. First, we've been able to partner with Sharon and the Wellbeing Studio and provide these art and poetry workshops for some of our warriors and their siblings. And it has been absolutely beautiful to see these relationships and bonding the kids have had. And even though it's all virtual, they're all friends now. And to see these kids who have gone through or are going through just these really traumatic experiences, and to have them laughing and but opening up at the same time and talking about, oh yeah, when I was in the hospital, I did this, or oh, I hate being in the hospital, I hate getting IVs, and talking about this while they're laughing and drawing. And it's just been absolutely beautiful and so healing for the kids, and they don't even know it. And so I just wanted to say that. But then also, I think a big thing to take away is that being strong doesn't mean not showing your emotions. And that's one of the biggest things we need to break through as parents, and also for the children. We don't need to have that fake strong all the time. So.
I would say a takeaway for me is, this is kind of a trite one, but you know, we're all busy. Even in this virtual space, I find myself to be busier than normal. And I know that when going through the cancer experience, you're even busier with medical appointments and also just maintaining life as is. And I would say, if you can prioritize 10 minutes a day for your children of uninterrupted time, where you can just listen and be present and be with them and have honest conversations, have difficult conversations, have fun conversations, have playtime, read a book, but just to set the phone aside, to set the appointments aside, to set everything else aside and just be present with your kid or with the kid that you're working with. I think that is so important.
Yeah, I love that. I think for me, it's just remember to, your kid is a kid. It's not, you know, and again, your inner child, and have, you know, have a sense of humor, because you know, that's what happened to me. I just kind of started laughing more. And on my way to surgery, I was singing to my anesthesiologist. And I just started just letting who I really am come out, and not worry about this image of who I have to be as a grown-up. Because it really gives you a new lease on life. When you come back, you really do come back. And you're like, now how am I going to live my life? Now what am I going to do with this second chance, right? Because it's always lingering in the background. Will it come back? Will I get another diagnosis? What will the next test say? But you can't live with that all the time. So you know, just really living life on your own terms, and remembering your kid is a kid, no matter the age, and you have a kid in you too. And this is kind of a blessing. I know it's trite too for me to say, it's a blessing in disguise. You know, we can't have it all up and we can't have it all down. It's up and down. I remember my what is it? My endocrinologist said, you like roller coasters? I said, no, I don't like roller coasters, because you're about to get on the biggest roller coaster of your life. And I said, I don't like roller coasters. So I've kind of learned to ride the roller coaster of life, literally, because it's not going to be all up. It's not going to be all down. It's not going to be all to the left. It's not going to be all to the right. And guess what? They changed the roller coaster on you because you thought you knew what you were getting on, and you don't. So after a while, you just kind of learn to laugh, enjoy, even in the difficult times. There's something to be thankful for. And those children that I saw come in to get treatment when I was getting treatment, they humbled me. Those children, those families humbled me, because it could always be worse. And what would I do if my child had it? That just baffled my mind. So I couldn't sit there. And yes, I know about not saying you always have to be strong, but at the same time, I couldn't fall apart because I had Shelly to live for. She got me through it. She got me through it. I couldn't give her 10 minutes. I give her my whole life. I can't give her just 10 minutes. Every parent has got to give their entire life to their child, because once you're a parent, everything changes. And you've got to live for something more than yourself, especially once you're a parent. So I agree with that. But no, that's not even negotiable for me. It's my whole life. And that's what woke me up every day. It still gets me up every day because it's gonna be a roller coaster. And let's enjoy the ride.
And I love that, Chantel. There's a person I follow on Instagram. Her handle is Project Grief Art, and she posted this image of what I expected in grief, going from here to here, what I got. And so, like with art, you know, we think we're going to make art, we're going to drum, and we're going to go from here to here. I'm going to make a rhythm. But instead, I got confused and my rhythm sounded strange. And then I wanted to switch it up, but I didn't know how. And then I created a whole new rhythm that Diana didn't even make. And what does that mean about me? And so the art creates a space where we can be we can hold space with ambiguity, we can hold space with uncertainty, we can hold space with going more than one direction, with things not being certain. And then if we can do that in art, it kind of prepares our body and prepares our mind to do that in other spaces. So with that, I would love to turn it to Diana. And if you could just give us we're almost at time, but a couple minutes of a drumming session. And can you share with us before you start that why you got into drumming and what it does for you and what you see for others, like in your circle with cancer survivors, how it helps us to try drumming.
Sure, thank you. Oh, such a beautiful, this has been a beautiful workshop. You can hear me, yes? You can hear me? Okay, good. Well, I grew up with a lot of trauma and violence in my home, and I was really just living my life kind of in reaction to, I guess, what I thought was happening to me. I had so much fear. And as I started to drum, much more so than singing, because I'm a singer first, but drumming it's so tactile, and there's so many things you can do with it. You can rub the drum, you can scratch them, you can bang the drum. It receives whatever I give it. And it just heals me. And then to lock into a groove with, other people, it is such a delicious experience of community. Without words, without eye contact, it's just the entrainment that happens. It's so healing and grounding, and you just realize yourself, or I will say, I realize myself in a bigger, much more powerful and present way, and that's what I love. I just love drumming, and I love sharing it. And having said that, can we all take a deep breath in? That was such a gorgeous, gorgeous experience. Shelley and Chantel, thank you so much. And all of your comments, thank you so much. That was just beautiful. So one more deep breath in and put your hands on your heart. This is going to be very quick. We're going to do a little bit of body percussion, honoring all the beauty that we just shined. So we're going to go tap, tap, snap, snap, clap, clap. Tap, tap, snap, snap, clap, clap. And we add the words, my light is shining brightly. 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 One more deep breath and bring it in. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to be here. Thank you. Keep shining.
Thank you so much, Diana. Thank you all so much for coming to our first Wellbeing Studio We Break Stigmas webinar. We will have another one in May, and we'll be spotlighting Washington. We'll be focusing on Indigenous family wellness and focusing on grief and loss strategies. And then we'll be going to Michigan in July, where we will be focusing on Minority Mental Health Awareness Month and supporting young adults, teens and young adults. So those are our 3 coming up, and then we'll have 2 more, New York and Florida. So I'm really excited that you all are helping us kick this off, and it feels very, very special to be with all of you. I wanted to note that in the chat, Rachel started us off with emails. So I put Rachel, Katie, and Annie's emails if you're interested in getting more support through Cancer Support Community Pasadena with Rachel, and Walk with Sally and mentoring with Kati, and then Annie, who especially focuses on siblings and children who are going through severe medical conditions. And then Matthew, our Director of Operations at Wellbeing Studio, has posted up a couple of links, and I will definitely be sending all of these out to you over email. So if you could take our post-webinar survey, and just let us know some of the things that worked for you about this, things you enjoyed. We also have our Story Quilt app, so you can, as parents or as cancer support community folks, you can recommend that families engage in creativity together and have those conversations through our app, which also encourages off app together time. So believe it or not, it's an app that says turn it off and do things with your family and then come back on. So that's exciting. And then we also, of course, always appreciate any donations you can make. It helps us make these programs possible. And if you're interested in becoming a We Break Stigmas ambassador, I feel like a podcast person or something. We are going to say, we'll send you one of our t-shirts. You can pick it out yourself and then take a photo with it and tag 5 of our events with 5 of your friends so that they can learn about what we're doing. We're trying that as like a social media strategy to get the words out. And we're so thankful for each of you, for Rachel and Kati and Annie and Diana, Chantel and Shelley, and then Matthew in the background, and all of our wonderful participants. Thank you for making this possible and helping me get through my social anxiety to make this happen. Anxiety is real, but it doesn't own us. We can do it. We have the bodies we need to get through our days and have a great time doing it. And I love you all. Have a wonderful night, and I'll be sending out this. Wow, Heidi, somebody did a great heart. I got to work on mine.